2024 was a pretty interesting year for video games, right? But honestly, out of all the games that I played that year, whether it was Shadow of the Erdtree or, I don't know, Dragon's Dogma for example, or some other big title, which by the way I didn't even play that much. I barely touched any major AAA releases that year. Most of the big budget games I did play were actually from like the previous year, so literally nothing new for me in that regard. But if there was actually one game in 2024 that really completely caught me off guard, it was Indiana Jones and the Great Circle. I was genuinely surprised that this game was not only released, but it actually turned out to be really damn good. You know how people talk about games like 𝔾𝔸𝕄𝔼 or Uncharted when it comes to like these adventure type puzzle solving games? Well, Indiana Jones and the Great Circle does something really well that sets it apart within that kind of region or that kind of space. And to me, I think that has to do with immersion. That's number one. Number two, I think it has to be the graphics. Holy shit, the graphics are amazing. Like, I honestly think that the game has some of the best visuals I've ever seen. What the? Damn, this bird looks nice. This bird looks nice. Like, I'm not exaggerating that or anything. It feels like the way that it's presented, like you have like the different combinations of the lighting, the texture, the level of detail, all of it just comes together in such a beautiful way, and it just feels amazing, honestly. I remember while playing this game, there was one part in the middle of the game, and I won't spoil too much by the way, but basically you end up in China, and when you see the entire landscape, the individual assets, and how everything's kind of like falling apart, it's so insane, honestly. One of the most cinematic moments I've ever experienced in a game like this, like in such a long time. I feel like the closest thing that I've played something as cinematic as this is probably like Baldur's Gate or something like that. Like literally something doesn't even come as close as being as good as this. And then there you have like the character detail, right? You can see the individual sweat, the skin pores, and the texture on the character's face. It's kind of wild. Just from a graphics standpoint alone, this game is already worth checking out. Now, aside from how it looks, the game's story and music is pretty solid. The gameplay loop really damn good. It heavily focuses on three things in my opinion. So you have the puzzle solving, you have the exploration, and then you also have the immersion. So let's talk about the puzzles for a second, because this is where it literally stands out. So just to give context, right? I've played 𝔾𝔸𝕄𝔼 1 and 2. I haven't touched the third one yet, but one of my biggest complaints with those two first games that I played was the puzzle solving aspect. It never felt really satisfying, or like, yeah, there was puzzles, but they didn't really feel as engaging as they could be. But with Indiana Jones, though the puzzles aren't complex like something you'd find in Portal or whatever, I think they're just right. In this setting, it feels just perfect. So one of the cool things about Indiana Jones is that it lets you kind of choose between an action-heavy experience or a more stealth-focused approach. 𝔾𝔸𝕗 has a similar style, but in Indiana Jones, I feel like it's way more balanced. But frankly, there is only two ways. You can either stealth your way through the entire section, or you can kind of just be really loud as much as possible. I remember in 𝔾𝔸𝕗, you're kind of pushed towards more stealth gameplay, whereas in here, you can genuinely play the way that you want. I remember in one section of this game, or actually multiple sections of Indiana Jones, where like I cleared out an entire area just by knocking people out, and by the time like I was done, there was like hundreds of bodies on the ground. It literally felt so goofy, man. This also brings me to another thing that I love about this game. I think there's this dry humor throughout the game that really gives it its personality and makes it stand out from the other adventure games. It has its own identity, and that's what makes it so damn good. And then one more thing, right? The voice acting, holy crap, Troy Baker absolutely killed it.
Hello, little darling.
The way he impersonates Harrison Ford is insane. If you look up a comparison video of their voices on YouTube, it's nearly identical. I remember there was moments in the game where I just couldn't distinguish between Troy Baker's voice and Harrison Ford. I mean, you won't ever get that feeling, but it's kind of weird to think about how it's not Harrison Ford that's voice acting this game. It's literally a different person, so huge props to that, right?
Not unlock. Solve. It's not a physical key. It's the tattoo.
Tattoo?
The dream 𝔾𝔸𝕼𝔼 is encrypted. The tattoo on the Nephilim, the Guardians, must be the decoding key to solving the cipher.
And honestly, this game really blew me away. Out of all the games that I played in 2024, this was easily one of the most memorable, and not just because it was one of the last releases of the year. It genuinely deserves that spot. Machine Games, Todd Howard, John Williams, whoever worked on this game absolutely nailed it. The direction, the pacing, the game length, it's all just perfect for what this game is trying to be. The director of this game, Todd Howard, and Dirk Gustafsson and Alex Torvenius. So huge props to those guys for making the game so brilliant, so amazing. So yeah, if you're looking for a new game, whether you're into puzzle solving adventure or you're just a fan of Indiana Jones, I highly recommend Indiana Jones and the Great Circle. It is a damn good freaking game. And that's pretty much it.